Time to unwind.
Time to unwind.
Okay, so this video kind of comes from a few questions we received when we did our Q&A recently. It's kind of basically covering the E-01, which is a new model to be added to our range. So we kind of just wanted to detail kind of the reasons behind it and give a bit more information. So to start with, we should probably go into kind of how the watch came about, really, and kind of the design inspiration behind it.
Okay, yeah, so basically the E-01 stemmed from us wanting to create quite a vintage and classically styled sports watch. So, you know, a watch that could be worn every day and, you know, is just utilitarian, but also nothing over the top. So, you know, it's quite reminiscent of like the Rolex Explorer, the older vintage models, or a Seiko Alpinist or something like that, where it's, you know, just a great everyday watch. So this watch comes in at 36.5 millimeters, which is, you know, quite small by today's standards, but for us, you know, being quite into Rolex and into vintage models, we felt that this is quite an appropriate size, and it's becoming more and more appropriate over time with, you know, trends starting to shift more towards the small size watches. So I think it offers something that isn't necessarily found in the market at the moment at this price point. You know, it's a really nicely highly finished sports watch at a small size with a nice domed sapphire that's quite reminiscent of an acrylic. So I think this will really appeal to anyone who's, you know, fans of the vintage Explorers, the vintage Datejusts, stuff like that.
Even newer stuff like the Tudor Black Bay, the 36.
Yeah, the Black Bay 36. Like yeah, it's quite similar to that, but, you know, really incorporating the Geckota DNA with the handset that's very similar to our G01 diver, and then it's that vertically brushed fume dial, which we've got going through a few different models now. And it is actually the same case from our S01 diver.
Yeah, I was going to mention that,
Yeah, this is a 36mm version of that 41mm case. So we've kept the same DNA in that the bezel is slightly overlapping the case, so that's why the bezel is 36.5 and the case is only 36.
Yeah.
So it helps hide the angularity when you're looking at it from top down, and then as you know, shift your wrist around, the angles of the case start to become more apparent. It's just like the nice little details and nuances that people will notice when they're wearing the watch.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's the basis for the design.
Okay, so we kind of mentioned the 36.5mm case, and obviously the Fume sort of vertical brush dial. Should we go into a few more specs?
Yeah, sure. So we'll show some pictures that will highlight these different specs that I'm going on about. But basically, it's a 36.5mm diameter on the watch, 20mm lugs, a case thickness of 11.95mm. So it's, you know, quite a thin profile without being too thin to be, you know, lacking wrist presence. It's just really nicely balanced with the case size, and there's slightly elongated lugs, just like the S01 diver. So even though it's a 36.5mm case, we've opted for 45.5mm lugs, so it wears more like a 38mm watch or something like that. So you know, it's really hitting into the vintage style, but without being too small. Yeah. So obviously watches back then, if it was 36mm, you might only have like 42, 43mm lug to lug length, and that would make it wear really, really small. Yeah. And also if they used 18mm lugs and different things like that, you know, there's a lot of design choices that I've made to make sure that it wears like a modern watch, even though it is for people who really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's important, isn't it?
It's basically a vintage watch with modern reliability, and then even though it's quite reminiscent of other things, we've tried to stick with quite a unique design in, you know, combining the Fume dial with the Geckota hands and stuff like that. So it's 100 meters waterproof as well, so, you know, it's good for the everyday. And even though it will come on a leather strap as standard, you know, you can put it on a NATO or something if you're really wanting to use it for, you know, active things. So yeah, it has a screw crown and the ETA 28-24 movement. Okay. And then also with the dome sapphire crystal, which helps protect the case and the bezel, and then it's also got some crown guards which protect the crown. So overall, it's a very utilitarian watch. Yeah.
So we've kind of mentioned that it is kind of coming on a path of a very like cohesive range for us. There's a few other watches that we've mentioned. The G1, it's kind of got similarities there. Yeah. And obviously the case from the S1 and stuff. Is there any sort of the cohesive purpose behind that? You know, are we going to...
Yeah, it's just to, you know, we really want to focus the brand, the Geckota Watches brand, going forward, and really, you know, solidify the design language and let people know that we're taking the watches very seriously, just like we take the straps. And so, you know, that there are some new releases that are coming out that you might not have seen yet that also share certain elements like fonts and different things and certain design languages, and we've got many models planned for early 2019 and throughout 2019 as well, that are really just going to build on that Geckota DNA and make sure that people understand what we're about and that we're trying to do something special.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a benefit of this watch is there is the quartz version as well. So if you do want something a little bit more affordable and you do like the design, the quartz option is a strong option, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of a quick look and a quick chat with me and Ben about the upcoming E1.
Yeah.
This is a highly requested watch, so we will be doing a hands-on video and kind of just covering it more to give you guys as much information as possible, really.
Yeah, definitely, and let us know what you think of the watch in the comments below. We'll be having lots of pictures and we'll link you to the listing and stuff, so you can really check it out if you're interested.
Yeah.
Subscribe
stay tuned
if you want to know more, and stay tuned. Yeah.
See you in the next video. Boom, that was in sync. I like that. Good.
Just to keep it, you need to be careful with the pillow.
You need to be careful with the pillow. How about that?
Oh, there we go.
It's going to slide down every time, right?
Mine didn't.